Welcome, logistics professionals. Whether you're running a trucking company, acting as a freight broker, a freight forwarder, or a 3PL provider, you know that physically moving the freight, well, that's really only half the battle. The other half, the silent, honestly kind of frustrating half, is managing that complex web of back-office operations. In this explainer, we're going to unpack a super powerful method to scale your operations efficiently, drawn straight from our source material on Infinity IPS BPO Services. We're looking at how shifting your approach to the back office can literally transform your growth trajectory and finally free your team up to do what they do best.
So let me ask you something, and be honest here. Is paperwork stalling your logistics growth? It's a direct question, for sure, but it gets right to the heart of a massive industry pain point. Just picture this scenario. You finally land that massive new account. It's the big win you've been chasing all quarter. But instead of popping champagne, your ops team is instantly stressed out. Why? Because that win means hundreds of new invoices, complex data entry, and processing proof of deliveries manually. Suddenly, the vital time and resources you desperately need to expand your network, build carrier relationships, or optimize your lanes are just gone, eaten up by administration. As your business grows, the volume of repetitive back-office tasks explodes. It happens to all of us. But today, we're going to see exactly how we can break that cycle.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. We'll identify the logistics growth bottleneck, introduce Infinity IPS BPO as the solution, break down their comprehensive back-office services, show you exactly how to scale without adding overhead, and finally, map out your next steps for growth.
Starting off with Part 1, the logistics growth bottleneck and the toll of administration.
You see, every growing logistics company faces this core conflict. In an ideal world, your team is laser-focused on taking care of customers, negotiating rates, managing complex shipments, and actively driving business growth. Right? That's your revenue engine. That's what keeps the lights on. But the reality? It's often way different. Highly skilled professionals are routinely buried in freight billing, meticulously verifying invoices, and tracking down missing documentation. Every single hour, a skilled dispatcher spends doing rote data entry or hunting down a lost document is an hour stolen from those revenue-generating activities. It creates a major operational bottleneck where your team is basically just surviving the daily administrative grind rather than actively growing the company.
Which brings us to Part 2. Enter Infinity IPS BPO, the solution to this bottleneck. Now, Infinity IPS, or Infinis for short, isn't just offering your traditional hands-off outsourcing where you toss tasks over a brick wall and just cross your fingers. No, they act as a dedicated operational extension. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means they provide a highly flexible business process outsourcing, or BPO service, that adapts to your specific software and your unique standard operating procedures. They act as a seamless, integrated arm of your own company. The main goal here is to streamline your workflows and dramatically boost overall efficiency, all without disrupting the way you prefer to do business. They essentially become your dedicated back-office team, functioning right alongside your core operations.
Let's look at Part 3, Comprehensive Back-Office Services, or as I like to call it, the arsenal.
First up, we've got the financial and documentation services. This covers rigorous freight billing, detailed invoice verification, and proof of delivery, or POD, processing. And look, we all know how notoriously messy and time-consuming PODs can be, right? A missing signature or a blurry scan instantly leads to a dispute, and that dispute delays your cash flow. But by handing these highly repetitive, detail-oriented workflows over to Infinity IPS specialists, you are guaranteeing absolute accuracy and significantly faster turnaround times. They also manage your overarching documentation and data entry, making sure your records are always pristine. The result? You get paid faster and maintain perfect financial hygiene, all without tying up your core staff in the administrative weeds.
Beyond the finances, they also provide absolutely critical coordination and support services. Imagine for a second being able to completely offload routine shipment tracking, complex appointment scheduling, and everyday carrier communication. I mean, no more spending hours on hold with a busy warehouse just trying to secure a dock door or confirm a delivery window. Infinity IPS also offers dedicated customer support and overarching administrative coordination. They take over those essential tracking and communication touchpoints required to keep your operations running smoothly. By trusting them with this critical coordination, your internal team is finally freed up to look at the big picture, handle high-level escalations, and deliver a truly premium service to your most valued clients.
Moving on to Part 4, Scale without adding overhead and the real business impact.
When it comes to scaling, logistics companies typically face a pretty harsh reality. Under traditional internal scaling, growing your freight volume just means skyrocketing your operational costs. You have to hire more internal staff, buy more equipment, and deal with more HR headaches. And eventually, that actually slows down your turnaround times as your growing team gets bogged down in training and communication silos. You end up with stretched, thin support. But Infinity IPS flips that script completely. By outsourcing these back-office tasks, you actually lower your operational costs, achieve much faster turnaround times, and scale your support upwards seamlessly. It is a fundamental shift in how growth is managed, transforming a growing pain into a massive competitive advantage.
The absolute most crucial number to keep in mind here is 0. That represents the exact amount of increased overhead required to scale your support when you partner with Infinity IPS. Think about the impact of that for a second. 0 new office space to rent, 0 new software licenses to purchase, 0 recruitment fees or HR headaches. You are scaling your capabilities entirely without scaling your overhead. And the flexibility is just incredible. Whether you need support for just a few hours a day to handle a sudden seasonal volume spike, or you need a complete 24/7 back-office solution, the services are perfectly tailored to what you need right now. You literally only pay for the capacity you use.
And that brings us to part 5. Next steps for growth and reclaiming your revenue.
The philosophy here is simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Spend less time on paperwork and more time generating revenue. When you completely remove that administrative anchor from your operations and hand those repetitive tasks to dedicated specialists, your internal team is finally unleashed. They are free to provide way better customer service, carefully optimize your routing and lanes, actively sell your services, and truly grow the business. You aren't just saving money on back-office ops, you are actively reclaiming your company's capacity to grow and absolutely dominate your market.
So, if you're ready to lower costs, improve operational efficiency, and let your team focus on what they actually do best, it's time to take action. Explore the Infinity IPS Logistics BPO Services detailed below this explainer to learn exactly how they can support and scale your business. And I'm going to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. What could your logistics company achieve if your team never had to manually process another POD ever again? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and here's to scaling faster and smarter.